As we welcome to the microphone our beloved mommy, Professor Mrs. Adebileje, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Redeemers University.
The Registrar, the Deputy Registrar in Absentia, and distinguished participants. I want to say good morning to everyone. And I want to ask, are you enjoying yourselves? The environment? Glory be to God. By the special grace of God, I've been given the title that says, Excellent Executive Summary, a tool for modern university administration. A tool for modern university administration. So we will go straight. I will go straight to the presentation. But before we go to synthesize, I want us to look at the key words in that title. We have excellent executive summary. We have modern university administration. And there is a key one, tool. So we will be discussing each of these key terms, not necessarily as they occur here, and we will get to a level where we will now synthesize in order to bring out the focus of this paper. Now, I've already said the preamble. Before I move on to what is a university, since yesterday, different resource persons have been giving us different definitions, different perspectives to defining a university. And you would agree with me that their definitions are made in relation to the topic they are given. So I am also going to define my university in relation to what we want to look at. You remember sometimes when we were in secondary school, and I'm not sure whether some of us did it, but when I was in secondary school, in my English class, my teacher would say, some of the aspects of English were English grammar, English comprehension, then précis, and summary. Did anyone go through that? I'm a teacher. If you don't answer me, I will stop. It means you are not interested. Did you remember that? Summary. If you never took part in that aspect of English, you better go and buy Brighter Grammar and begin to educate yourself. Because you know the secret to success in this time around is for you to make a difference. That was what everybody was hammering on since yesterday. Look at an aspect where you think you can make a difference. And you will discover that that difference is not anything new. It's not anything from the blues. It is part of those knowledge we had but never used. You will see the justification for my reference to summary when we get there. So, I want to define a university based on the topic we are looking at. I went to the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary. Sorry, are this set of people looking at the, can you see it? Thank God. Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary says, a university is an institution at the highest level of education. Now, our dear resource person that just left also mentioned something like that. Now, if we consider that the university is a place that is the highest, as an administrator, nothing is required from you that is below the highest. If you understand the fact that where you are placed to work is regarded as the highest, then it is on you to make sure you have what it takes to deliver at the highest level. Then because I don't want to repeat, everybody said all I have there. I want us to look at this. Universities are citadels where the unbiased convene. What do we mean by unbiased? There is no sentiment. That is our problem in Nigeria. You must be objective at all times. Whether anybody is looking at you somehow or some kind should not affect you. It is only when you don't understand who you are and what is expected of you that you begin to dwell on things that do not matter. It is a place where the unbiased convene, where talents are assembled, where unmatched ideas, passion, creativity, idealism of great minds, young and old alike, are applied to solve problems and advance societal and economic well-being. If you understand the university as a place like this, then as an administrator who is in the center of every activity, then you begin to understand how much is expected of you. I want to differ a little to what our daddy said before I came up, that you don't have a role to play in research, teaching, and community service. I said I differ. And I differ because you are the ones that will make research, teaching, community service effective. Do you believe that? The fact that you don't go into the lab or you don't go out into the field to conduct research does not mean you cannot do anything to make it work. The fact that you don't stand in front of students to teach them does not mean you do not have anything to do with teaching. These days, especially in private schools, it is the one that has an edge that can proffer solutions, whether it be administration or academic, that is retained. Am I talking sense? Private universities, they will not want to pay when you are not productive. Make yourself relevant. Even in the office as an administrator, like he said, you can advise. You see things working. You can say, the fact that students are walking from here to the class makes them late for lectures. What can we do? You write a report, a proposal. You write a proposal and you give it to the person in charge. When people see you here, there, you make yourself almost indispensable. Then you have made positive impact. We will get to how we can do that effectively. Now, I want you to pay rapt attention, because at the end of this is a workshop. We are doing an exercise. That's the understanding of a university. The understanding of a university that must be in your subconsciousness. It will help you to rightly put yourself in the rightful place. Now, what about the modern university? The modern university. In the modern university, which we are supposed to be now, 21st century university, we will be looking at what makes the initial definition given different on the basis of being modern. In the modern university, technology is the dominating factor. Do you know that some of us lecturers are not computer friendly. But whether we like it or not, the students we are teaching are computer friendly. So whoever wants to communicate effectively with them must, by fire, by force, be technologically oriented. So also administrators. Your work is so enormous. I pity you, honestly. Since yesterday, I just discovered that your work is so enormous, so overwhelming. God will help you, Sha. Don't let me intimidate you. God will help you. So you need to sit down. How do I accomplish all this and still be on top? Now, we said a modern university is a technologically oriented place. Technology is applied in an effort to improve. And there is one major factor we must always understand and consider at all times. It is the fact that university system evolves. It is common to refer to OAU, to refer to UI of Ibadan, to refer to UI of Ilorin. But the fact is that we look at our environment. Are these universities still servicing the current environment? Look at the youth of today. They are different from the youth of yesterday. As an administrator who manages both the administration and the academic and the community service, you must also evolve effectively to promote your responsibility, your assignment. Why? Because knowledge is power. Chief Moji told us yesterday, and I'm emphasizing it today again. Knowledge is power. Gone are the days when you come to work and dust your table and sit down and begin to expect what your immediate boss will tell you to do. That is the orientation of an administrator. You wait till you are told to do something. Very soon, such people will be evicted. These days, an administrator is somebody that anybody can call on. The VC can call on and say, please, I don't know how to go about this. I don't know what to do about this. How do we do it? You don't have to wait till you are called. Go out there and do what you can do to make the system work. So we said knowledge is power, information and ideas. By reading abreast, by reading wide, you don't limit yourself to your corner. Read wide. See what is happening in other universities. See what they do, how they solve their own problems. And you can adapt that to the situation in your. But when you are the type that will just wait until problem comes, until you are called, then you are not efficient. You are not a modern university administrator. Let me move. This one has been. What happened? Okay. Now, let's see a modern university in the US context is described as a university with strong efforts to overcome the major challenges higher education faces today. We always want our children, we ourselves, we always want to go and school abroad. Why is it that people are rushing abroad? Why not here? Why don't they stay here? Me that I'm talking, if I have the money, I will send all my children abroad to go and school. Why? It is because things are not working here. It is because the old things are still what we are doing. We don't do it the way it should be done according to the changing society. So in the US context, a modern university is a university with strong efforts to overcome the major challenges higher education faces today. Now, in the educative aspect, the academic aspect, a modern university is where students use tablets, gadgets like that to learn. And that means that the lecturers also will be using such gadgets to teach. That's one aspect of it, where all the record keeping and the rest of it are digitalized and so on. In the administrative aspect, depending on the size of students and programs, the university has an enormous task of catering to the requirements of different groups of people and programs simultaneously throughout all academic sessions. You do everything. Somebody said yesterday that you have 2 heads and 10 hands. You are doing so many things simultaneously. If you cannot do that effectively, you are not a modern university administrator. The effective management of the day-to-day running of these requirements is referred to as university administration. The wholesome success of a university at carving a niche for itself depends largely on its administration. So it's coming back to where we started, that everything that runs in the university is as a result of the efficiency of administrators in that university. Now, when we talk about university administration, which the last speaker had dwelt on explicitly, I will not want to waste time on this, but the fact that I will read this last, we will start from the, I want to read this last sentence that says a university, Mr. Wale, something is wrong. Can I scroll? Okay, thank you. Now let's look at the red line, on the second red line. A university administrator is a person that is put in charge to manage and organize such university affairs. Now, what are university affairs? Teaching, research, community service, and administering all these 3 together. So, specifically, university administrators work at colleges or universities, managing student activities, academic departments, public relations initiatives, and more. So when we say you don't have any business with teaching, we are making a great error, because you are also needed. Your inputs are needed when we are talking about teaching. But if you believe you are not needed, you will not make any impact. From now on, when you get back to your universities, as an administrator, look at what you can do to improve the teaching process in your school. You may not necessarily call any lecturer. You just write your proposal and send it to the necessary quarters. Now, when we describe the job of an administrator, it could be called different names in different organizations. It could be executive assistant, and so on and so forth. But the major things they do, which is common to all universities, is that they would operate an office, organize and maintain files and records, planning and scheduling meetings and appointments, managing projects and conducting research and feasibility studies. You may think, what concerns me? What concerns me with fundraising? These days, lecturers are also involved in raising funds for the university. So as an administrator, it is part of your duty to raise funds for the university. You think about ways, and when you are thinking of any new way, the way you do it is that you will write. You will write your proposal. You will write your proposal. Apart from that, minutes of meetings and so many things like that are also written, and they must be reported. They must be reported. Now, let me leave all this. And then, when we are now talking about when you have seen an opening, like our first speaker said, we are all here to make sure that the holes are not leaking. You discover that a hole is leaking somewhere. It is not a matter of saying it only. It is a matter of putting it on record by way of writing a proposal. And that proposal could be a bulky one. When you organize a meeting and you take minutes in that meeting, or when any meeting is organized and you are the secretary, you take the minutes, you must write. You must write the minutes and you must report. That is where we are coming. The administrator must therefore write reports promptly to relevant stakeholders to get them involved in the day-to-day activities of the organization. Now, after carrying out his responsibilities in any of the following areas: admissions, supervision of academic affairs such as hiring, and so on. These are all the areas administrators work in, which have been mentioned already. And then, let me now read this last paragraph to them. Administrators must be prepared to write and give reports promptly, because the longer the delay between the message and the feedback, the more likely the other person gets uninterested. Now, I want to focus on getting our report across to whoever is the stakeholder. Do you know that effective writing of reports that will catch the attention of whoever the stakeholder is what makes an administrator efficient? Somebody was complaining that secretaries are not allowed to speak. They are not regarded as members. That is not your focus. That should not be your focus. Your focus is that you make impact. And when people make impact, it is not always through talking. It is always through write-ups that will convince whoever the audience of that write-up is. So when you are doing your normal office assignment, you could be writing proposals on the side that will be outside your office work. And that proposal, if well written and it convinces whoever is in charge, will make a very positive impact on that university. Do you think they will forget you in a hurry? No matter how little that thing may seem. So we are saying that you write your reports promptly and get it across to whoever is the audience. When such reports are written after events or after programs, depending on the scale or magnitude of such events, They are bound to be long. They are bound to be bulky and very tasking to read. Many a times it will be the VC that will finally receive that report. And we all know that VCs are very busy. When the moment they see it as a very lengthy, bulky report, they just put it aside. And that may have defeated our goal. Your goal from today is to deliberately make an impact, not necessarily your day-to-day assignment. Look at the environment of your university. Think of where you can close the leaking gap and write a proposal, and then make it get to whoever is in charge. Now, this is where an excellent executive summary comes in handy and effective. All that we've been talking since, we are trying to establish the fact that administrators are doing so much, but they are not recognized, so to say. Their impact is not felt, so to say. How do we make our impact felt more? How do we tell people in the university that we are in this corner, making things work? It is by making sure that we get people that are stakeholders involved in what we are doing. And to do that is by way of writing our reports, but with an executive summary. How many of us have heard of executive summary before now? I want to ask you, what do you think it is?
Okay, it's like summarizing the main points in a document. In a lengthy document, you just ask to read through and bring out the major points that is of great interest to the reader. Yes, ma.
To accomplish your report?
Yes, ma. Thank you, ma.
She says she's been using that. Anybody here who is used to executive summary before now? None. No, this side. Yes. None. You've been using it? Yes. Which of the documents have you used it to present? Is it the minutes or what?
Yes, minute of meetings.
Minutes of meetings?
Yes.
You use executive summary?
I don't know what you meant by executive summary.
I'm telling you that what do you
but
understand?
the way I understand it is that bringing out the salient points in form of decision extract of the
decision extracts. Okay, here, do we have anybody? Yes, sir. What have you been using it for?
Just like we use the abstracts, to bring out the main points in a thesis. In that way, we also use the executive summary to bring out the salient points so that the person does not need to read the entire report to understand what the conclusion of the committee.
He said abstract. He said decision extract. And he said a summary of the whole report. All of you are correct, but I'll give you 2/10. Executive summary is not the decision extract. Decision extract is a way of informing those that are given assignments at the point of that meeting. A way of telling them, don't forget, at the meeting we decided that you are doing this. That is the function of the decision extract. Abstract is a summary, but it is a little different from executive summary. Abstract is not an executive summary. So, it is not just a summary. What is an executive summary? Executive summary means a miniature or abridged document that summarizes a longer report for the purpose of getting readers rapidly acquainted with a large document without having to read it all. It is a skillfully crafted, abridged document that summarizes a longer business and understood without reading that's the same thing. But number 3 says, an executive summary is a short writing that summarizes the main documents in few words without omitting the major points, so that the reader can have an overview of the whole document in brief without going through the whole of it. Now, if your report is of 20 pages and it has subtitles like 6, your executive summary must contain the 6 subtitles. You see how it is different from abstract. Your executive summary must contain the 6 subtitles. You may now decide to put in percentage all the points under each of the subtitles. So much so that by the end you are done with your executive summary, it may be a page or 2. But it will have all the main points that you have put in your long report. It is a crucial tool that can make all the difference, for instance, in funding a venture and empowering its potential. In other words, we said that you should look for loopholes to cover, and then you write your proposal. And you need to state your proposal in a way that it will be as explanatory as it could be, but it must have an executive summary that will be the catchy aspect of your proposal for whoever will read it to first of all see. And if you are writing something that needs money from others, you want to convince them why they must put their money in a project, it must be seen whether they would want to dare it or not by what you have in your executive summary. And whether they will just throw it away or not, it will be as a result of how you wrote your executive summary. While an executive summary should be informative in nature, it should also capture the audience's attention immediately so that they are motivated to read the remainder of the document. So it is a skill. It is not just a way of writing. It is a skill that must be learned and then that must be put into action. Your executive summary should be thorough, but it should not reveal everything. So that when somebody is looking at the percentage, so can this be happening? He may now, because in your executive summary, you would have even written the pages where the longer versions are in your report or proposal. So your executive summary must be written in a way to incite their interest. Okay? In most documents, the executive summary is the first section of the document, appearing after the table of contents and before the introduction. It is the one you write last, but it is the one you present first. It must be before the table of contents and then before the introduction. Now, let's look at best practices for an excellent executive summary. This university system process we are talking about is from abroad. And if we want to make an edge, we must study how they are doing it over there and adapt. We are not to copy, we are to adapt. But if it's a conscious effort, if we don't make the move, if we just sit down in our office believing that our work is, office confined, we will not have the motivation of even looking at the challenges the university has, not to talk of proposing solutions to solving them. The 21st century administrator in any university is no longer the type that sits in the office. You may even sit in your office, but you have your tentacles around the university. You look for a way to make things work. You look for ways to make things easier. Now, we said excellent executive summary must be specific and not general. It should be written in a way that is descriptive and not judgmental or condemnatory. When we are writing our executive summary, don't forget that it's a brief of the longer report. Now, it is not our own responsibility to take decision already for whoever the report is meant for. So we should try as much as possible that we are not biased. We state things objectively, the way they are. We are not there to judge. We are not writing it to condemn. No, we are writing it for the person to see the correct situation of things and the person to take his or her own decision. Therefore, to get this right, you have to know what your executive summary is meant for. The goal should be to get the reader to say, this is interesting. It has potential. These people know what they are doing, and I want to get in on the, on the program or on the... Now, when we say teaching, how can you be of use to the teaching day-to-day activity of your university? If you are not yet computer compliant, you can go there and look at it. How can this work? You can go there and look at it and propose. And after you might have carried out your research, see, you are also involved in research. Because research is when you deliberately go out there to ask questions, to know how things work, and you come back. You write your report on what you have found, and then you propose. And your report will be comprehensively written, taking into consideration all that were found, and then your executive summary will now be the one that will be written to catch the attention of who will take that action you have proposed. Now, in Ashford University, they believe that an executive summary should not be more than 1 to 3 pages, depending on the report, and should be written in the third person. See, you are as detached as possible as you can to whatever you are writing. Unless you are taking minutes. Unless you are taking minutes of a meeting and you put your signature there. Even when you are taking minutes, it's to be reported. So you are doing everything in the third person. I don't know whether we understand. You don't write and say, he now said, they now said, Mr. and Mrs. Somebody now said. No. You are as abstract as much as you can. So you report in the third person. It was observed. It is suggested. It is recommended. They are to be called. Do you understand? So you are not showing any sentiment. You are not pushing it forward that, this one wants to eat my money, Neil. See, I will. No. I'm not interested in this. And the whole something is just discarded like that. But as much as possible, we must be very, very unbiased. Now, in the Miami School of Business and York University, they recommend that 5 to 10% in length of the full report or business plan. In other words, when you are writing your executive summary, it should be 5% to 10% of the normal report. It must be short, concise paragraphs. It must be in short, concise paragraphs. Your paragraphs must catch the most important information. It must be written in the same order as the full report. In other words, if you have sub in your report, your executive summary should also have such subheadings. However, what is written on them will be the cogent information. It should be directly aligned with the rest of your larger, that's what we said in the last point. Now, while writing your executive summary, read through your whole report and select the most vital information from each section. Numbers, facts, and goals in your original report plan should be congruent, should align with your executive summary. In other words, your executive summary should highlight the best features of your full report. For example, if in your proposal you have identified a primary advantage that your plan proposes, you should leverage on. Your executive summary should highlight and include these advantages. For instance, very recently, a company presented a proposal that our students, you know this Uber something, Uber taxi, Yes, that since our students are not allowed to bring in their cars, and the cabs present on campus do not go round, the company proposed that why don't we allow them to ride bicycles that will operate even as Uber operates. And after consideration here and there, I'm sure the person must have written his executive summary in a very interesting, catchy way that caught the attention of management. And if you go around our campus, you will have noticed some green bicycles placed in strategic places. So if you have that app on your phone, our students have the app on their phones, if they need to get to the supermarket, their hostels are there. The supermarket is by the gate. Instead of trekking, especially when it is a sunny day, they can get the Our Bike. It is called Our Bike. Then, I think it's 20 naira per what? Per 15 minutes. 20 naira per 15 minutes. So if you can get the bicycle to bring you down to the supermarket, buy whatever you want to buy, get back to where you picked it from, you would have spent 20 naira. Instead of trekking, go to and fro. It was as a result of proposal. It's something to think. It's another thing to get it across to be accepted. I don't want to believe that we are not thinking. Are we not thinking? Have we not been considering that this is a problem? We may not go beyond saying, this is a problem, how do I solve it? You may be thinking of how you individually will solve that problem. But have you ever thought of solving that problem for majority of people? Because it is a process. You cannot just think and believe it will sail. You need to follow the due process. As an administrator, I'm not the one to be telling you due process. Am I right? You know it more than I do. So it is the edge you can now have is your ability to write in a way that will catch the attention of who you think will execute your proposal. One of the most essential aspects of an executive summary is succinctness. You should condense your summary as much as possible with the goal of getting all of your vital information onto 1 or 2 pages. The more succinct you are, the clearer your message will be, and the more confidence your readers will have in your write-up. It's a summary, so write it last, but you present it first. Even though the executive summary is at the beginning of a finished business report, many experienced administrators choose to write the executive summary after they have written everything else. How well an executive summary is written determines whether or not it is excellent and effective. Our topic is excellent executive summary. We are not just talking about executive summary. We are talking about excellent one. So a good administrator must master the skill of writing. That is where the challenge is. Many are not good at writing. You know, most of the time, we just copy. We always copy and paste. We always copy and paste. This one, it demands originality. It demands that you thought about it, you researched it, and you are reporting it, especially when you are proposing a solution to solve a challenge. Now, it is a tool because when we are talking about university administration, we need something that will make our work effective and stimulating. So when we consider an excellent executive summary as a tool, then we begin to make use of it to ease our work and to help us realize results when we propose, even when we are submitting our reports. If we want things to move wherever you are placed, before the person that is supposed to read your report reads, give him the executive summary first. What I always do, me, even though I'm not a full-time administrator, is that anytime I chairman a committee, I don't wait for the secretary to bring his or her report. I would have taken points of those things that need immediate action